What's up, everyone? I have a special video today for you. I'm doing a dual comm. I'm joined by BChaps, if you want to go ahead and say hello.
Hey guys, BChaps here.
So BChaps was nice enough to reach out to me to do some collaborations, and he's actually going to have a video interview over on his channel, which I will link in the description, and you better visit. He makes great content. I know he's focused on a lot of Horde, and I'm just going to ask him a bunch of questions so you can get to know him. He's definitely, one of the high-quality members of the Gears community that I've had the privilege of meeting. So without further ado, maybe BChaps, if you just want to kind of describe what your channel's all about in your own words.
Yeah, sure. So our channel's called TacCom. It's really just, our tagline is for the community, by the community. It's a small group of us right now, and we're making content. We're all community members, Gears community members, and we're making content that we think will benefit the community. So like you said, we do a lot of Horde videos. We do tutorials and stuff to like help people get better at Horde, or we bring about discussion and discussion points. It's, hey, here's some hot topics, here's some things you might want to discuss in the community. And we just aim to make, like you said, quality content, but we aim it as something that's going to help the community grow or help the community improve.
And I do believe your content does just that, and I was talking to Chappie. I know you have a very objective kind of view when you are making especially your discussion videos or tutorials even, and I think that's really powerful just because it provides just a really fair kind of standpoint for community members to get their information from. Now I'm particularly interested in some of the Horde content you do because, well, first of all, it has blown up a bit. People clearly see the value of it on YouTube, and Horde's an area that I myself have not had too much experience in. So I know there's a lot of depth to it, and it's actually not as easy as people may think. So I was wondering if you could just kind of explain to me how you got, or why you decided to focus some of your channel on Horde, and how difficult it is, or how you came to be so knowledgeable about the game mode.
Yeah, well, so I guess one of the things to throw out there right at the beginning is I was never a big Horde guy. I played a little bit in Gears 2, or I played a lot of Gears 2, but only a little bit of Horde. Gears 3, I started to play a little bit around with the insane Horde clubs and stuff like that. It wasn't really until this game that I got really into Horde, and I kind of was annoyed by the multiplayer at launch. So my friends and I, we all started playing it, and we were some of the first people, I guess, to beat Insane. Even when we were level 1 classes, we beat Insane because we just had really good teamwork. And yeah, a lot of people don't think you can, but if you have a good team, you can pretty much do anything. So yeah, that's how I got into Horde. As far as the videos go, there was a lot of stuff. People started asking me questions like, hey, you seem good at Horde, how do you do this, and how do you do that? And so I started making these like guide videos, and like you said, they sort of blew up. Our channel had less than 100 subs, and it's thanks to these Horde videos that we now have like 1,500 subs or something like that. It's still not huge for a YouTube channel, but it's
something.
Yeah, it's getting big, and like you said, I think a lot of that comes from our focus on quality and how objective we are. We do a lot of math and testing to show objectively why things are the way they are. And I myself, I'm an engineer, so I think through things. I overthink things probably a lot.
Hey,
so.
All for the best. When you told me, is it astrophysicist? Is that the correct?
No, aerospace engineer.
Oh, you see, guys, how could I confuse the two? That's incredible. I mean, we have an aerospace engineer punching the numbers for us on Gears, so we know what things do. That's really powerful, like it takes time to first of all create quantitative data and actually explain it and put it to use. So I think that you do that is incredible, and that's definitely going the extra mile. So to say that you feel lucky that your channel blew up, like truthfully, it deserves more views than it's getting, because the type of content you're making there is bloody excellent.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so I need to put more time into Horde. I don't know, I'm just a player versus player guy, and I've always needed to make sure that somebody else on the other side of the TV screen knew that I was coming for them. But I really did enjoy Horde in Gears 2 and Gears 3. It was pretty simple, but I gotta say, for Gears 4, they really it is Horde 3.0, isn't it? Like, there's so much more
Oh, it is
depth to it.
completely different. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually got a quick question for you about. So you said you like having people, or you like the PvP aspect, and
Yes.
you did like Horde and Gears 2. So I know Judgment's sort of that dark horse that not a lot of people want to talk about. But so what did you think of Overrun?
Oh, it's so funny you asked me that. I was literally actually going to ask you about that. I guess I'll go first, though. I think Overrun was incredible. It was a lot of fun. It had a lot more... there's a lot more depth to it, I think, than your
Yeah.
traditional multiplayer. And I guess that's essentially like... It was Beast Mode or Horde combined with player versus player, if you want to think about it, like, very generally. But I thought it was such an excellent game mode. And I actually sunk a lot of time in it when Gears Judgment was out and I played. But I also think it was the game type that the majority of the Gears community wasn't actually looking for, you know? I mean, it didn't actually do that great, even though it was objectively, in my opinion, which I guess that doesn't even make sense. How can you have an objective opinion? But I just thought that it was an excellent game type, and they did a great job, and it was fresh. But
Yeah.
yeah, not something that people, I guess, were terribly interested in. But with that said, what do you think? What did you think about?
So yeah, I loved it. I think the main thing people didn't like is that it took maps away from the regular multiplayer. But that aside, the mode itself was phenomenal, and I think that's one of the modes that got me started thinking about Horde in like this very strategy oriented way of how can we set up different things, or what are these different strats that we can do for stuff. And it was always amazing seeing. I'm on the forums all the time, and there used to be all these threads about, oh, Overrun's so unbalanced, you can set up with this class and do blah blah blah. And I've challenged those people. I've called them out and said, okay, if you think that's so overpowered, come play against me and a couple of my friends. Run whatever you think is overpowered, and we will beat you. Because
I like that. Very bold.
I mean, okay, we didn't always win, but I guess the point I made to them is this is actually a very, very balanced mode, even though there was so much that went into it. I don't know how Epic did it, but they made a very balanced mode that had so many levels, and the fact that you switch sides halfway through essentially balanced everything out anyways. But yeah, I loved that mode.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, the level of creativity that you can actually add in terms of strategy is so much greater, in my opinion, than your traditional player versus player mode. So that is one area that I'll concede, you know, like playing TDM or execution, whatever it is I play, there's a finite number of strategies or moves that I know people can pull off and do. But then when I played Overrun, there's just so much you can do and learn. And like you said, you might think that somebody has it figured out the best, and then they actually don't. There's somebody who has a completely different strategy that you wouldn't have even thought of using. So
Yep.
I really do value that aspect. But I think another thing that you mentioned that's just so true is that Overrun ate up some of the content, so to speak. It took away some of the maps, and that's one reason I like Horde and Beast Mode. I know we no longer have that, because it can work with the traditional maps that we have, so it's almost like resource sharing in a sense, and I don't think you can do that with Overrun. So some people ask, oh, do you think Overrun's going to come back, or would you like it to come back? And I don't think it's going to come back, and I don't know if I'd like it to come back, because it would eat up a lot of resources, you know? So
Yeah,
and we were or sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, one thing I love about them being on the same maps is, so yeah, I play Horde a lot now. It's taken some of the skill away from like my wall balancing or something like that, but I feel like it's really improved me in other aspects because it's the same map. I can find these little corners, where I find these little things that in multiplayer I just wouldn't have the time to find, and then it also improved my Lancer play. But it's because you use the same maps across all of these modes, it just really, it makes the game feel more well-rounded. You can go in any mode and the maps are exactly the same, and you can keep improving no matter what mode you're playing.
Yeah, and I think that there's actually a truth to that as well. I mean, when you're at a very high level of play, the little things really add up. So little spots on the map that could just give you that advantage in a single fight, just adding up everything you've learned, I can see how that can actually be valuable. And that's definitely something I remember kind of feeling like in Gears 2 and 3. But once again, I need to sink some time into Horde on Gears 4, so I might have to have you put me in your backpack when we play and teach
We've
me.
done that plenty of times.
Well, good. I won't take up too much room. I promise. So I guess I'm also curious to ask how you or why you get involved in the Gears community. You know, surely you could be doing a number of things, but I know you enjoy being a figure in the Gears community, so to speak. So I was wondering if you could speak to that, maybe.
Yeah, so I guess it all starts because I live in Ohio now, but I used to live in North Carolina, Cary, North Carolina, actually, which is where Epic's from. I live 10 minutes away from Epic. I got involved in Gears, and I loved Gears of War, and I was slightly involved on the forums, but then I guess once Epic started getting more involved in their community and stuff, and I got to know some of the people over there just because of where I was, that kind of helped me get more involved in the community, and I started doing things like the old Rodcast that they used to do. I was the one who gathered all the questions, and they printed out my threads and used those for the Rodcast, and there was like all these things, and I don't know, it's just such a good feeling being someone who's knowledgeable. It's something I'm passionate about. Gears is something I'm passionate about, but being knowledgeable and just being there, I love helping people and teaching people, so it was just a really nice fit. And
yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It's weird to explain, but it is quite satisfying when you feel like you have something to offer in terms of game knowledge or just kind of being a voice for the community, and it just makes it just amplifies the experience. That's how I would describe it, you know, whereas you can just play the game like everybody mostly does, and that's it, and be done there. But if you have a little bit of extra time on your hands and you like video editing and you like speaking, then it can be a lot of fun to get involved in communities like this, and I feel like it's definitely paid off for both of us. And I know for you especially, you have like some connections with the coalition, and you're very informed and up to date. So, and I know you've definitely gone to a couple events too, because I've seen some videos.
Yeah, the events have been fun. Those haven't been anything I'm invited to, really. It's just like MLG Columbus is really close to me, so I'll go head out there. But
I'm jealous. There's nothing close to me here in Ontario.
But yeah, I mean, the community is, even when I was like a small new member, it was just such a nice community to get involved with. It's grown a little toxic recently, but it was such a nice community. And it was, during that age for me, it was high school and college, where, I mean, that's where my life gets molded, essentially. And having this welcoming community, the Gears community just became a part of me. And now that I'm one of the more senior members, feels weird to say that, but I'm one of the more senior members in the Gears community.
So
I kind of feel like it's my almost responsibility to give back. The Gears community gave so much to me and helped shape my life so much that I want to give back and help where I can.
Well, first off, let me say you were like the Spider-Man of the Gears community. It's great to hear and actually know that there are people who just feel some sort of obligation or that they really want to give back to a community they feel like they're a part of. You know, it's weird because I feel similar in the sense that I really enjoy Gears of War, and I've played it a long time, and it's nice to help out newer members. And one of the things that you said that I think really resonated with me was this whole idea that the community seems to be getting more toxic, and that's always a statement that I find myself half agreeing with and half disagreeing with. I feel like Gears went through a huge rough patch when Gears Judgment came out, and then leading up to Gears 4. I've always considered that Gears 4, we're in kind of like the recovery phase where people are coming back. A lot of people know it's a good game, but at the same time, there's still quite a lot of vocal people, to say the least, when it comes to some of the decisions or choices that are being made about the game. So I guess it might be fitting for me to ask you, as kind of one of the last things we're talking about, is what do you hope for the future of Gears? What would you like to see, from what you see now?
So, I guess I think there's a lot of stuff in Gears 4 is going in the right direction. It's definitely a great game, but there's, like you said, a lot of things could be improved. I think most of those will have to come into play in Gears 5. are some things they could do in Gears 4 though, but I think the biggest things that could be focused on to help improve the game going forward are, one, the community team. Liam and Adam, they're doing a great job, but it seems like they're understaffed. I feel like there needs to be more transparency, more discussion with the community, more consistency, something to, I guess, bring the community closer together, but at the same time that's also going to, I guess, give the community an idea of what's going on so that they can give better feedback. And the better feedback that we as a community can give, the better they will be able to shape the game to create what we want in the end. And then,
Very, very well put.
Thanks. And then the other thing that I think needs to be worked on a little bit is Gears has always been about something new. They're making it their own, and the Coalition has done a lot of little tweaks to make something their own, but it almost seems like they are too stubborn with that. I hate using that word, but for example, the Guardian spawns, we had a working system, but they changed it and they made it so spawns didn't swap, which people didn't like, but they kept it that way, essentially hoping that it would work, hoping it would catch on. It seemed like they were almost stubborn about that. Eventually enough people complained that they changed it, but they wanted to make it their own, have their little take on it, so they made it so that you spawn near the leader, which still doesn't fix the problem, and even though we had a working solution back in Gears 3. So it seems like they just want to make stuff their own and prove that their way is right. The other thing is the core and competitive tuning. It seems like they want to prove that that is right. Obviously, yeah, they have information I don't, but to me it just doesn't seem right.
That's fair. Hey, and I mean, when it comes to having information that we don't, I think that also goes to your transparency point.
Yeah.
But I think you make some, once again, I mean, I think we're very like-minded because I agree with a lot of what you're saying. We talked about this earlier. I think they don't need to make it a game necessarily for just the players, which I think some people would argue that they should because we're the consumers. But they definitely don't want to be making a game that's for them. I think that's what happened with Gears J, Judgment, where they said this is what we want Gears to be like, more fast-paced, no downs, no. And people were frustrated. I think, just succinctly put, they need to make a Gears for everyone, something that the fans like and something that the creators are proud of, something that everybody is on board with. And in terms of what you were saying about the fans giving good feedback, that is so important to improving the game, and it's also important that the Coalition acts on that feedback. And I think one of the issues when you're not actually keeping people informed of the changes that are going to come is that you kind of alienate the fans in a way. When nobody knows what's going to be happening with the game that they're putting a lot of time into, yet they know that they should be hearing about, let's say, new maps, for instance, or updates and whatnot, your fans get alienated. And what do alienated people do? They lash out, and I think that's where a lot of the toxicity kind of derives from. So
yep.
the solution to that, in part, is A, for the Coalition to be more open with what it is that they're doing, and B, for all of the parents to make sure that they're keeping Gears of War 4 away from their under 18 children who are playing this game. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about the transparency, not only making us give better feedback, but making us more aware. There's so many things that we lash out at the Coalition for, but it's just because they're doing stuff based on information that we don't have. There's a lot of instances where I've talked to someone at the Coalition and they've been able to explain, hey, yeah, this is why we did this thing, and it starts to make a little more sense. I might not completely agree with it, but it starts to make more sense. Mm-hmm. But that's because I had a conversation with them, and if they aren't doing these broadcasts or anything anymore to make this information publicly known, and they just do it in a private conversation, or if they do it in a offhand reply to a tweet or something like that, then the information just isn't known by people, and there's gonna be this toxicity because people aren't informed.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. And at the same time, I feel every time I talk about something like this, I feel the need to kind of say the following disclaimer. People like myself and Chaps, the reason we kind of bring up this constructive criticism is because we both love Gears and we want it to do as well as it possibly can. So, you know, it's very easy to look at a company or a product and criticize it and kind of say what's wrong with it. And that, I think people have always been more attracted to what is wrong with things versus, you know, what is right with things. And you just turn on the news if you don't believe me, and you will find out. But I really do think overall Gears is a fantastic game, and we both want it to do as well as it can. And one of the reasons I'm a particularly a fan of you is I think you're very articulate and objective and fair with what you say, so that's very empowering for community members to have somebody such as yourself who's able to speak like that. So bless your soul, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, yep.
Anyway, so we're just about to wrap up here. Before we leave, I want to thank everybody for watching. Please check out BChaps. His content is amazing. He's been a figure in Gears for a while. His Horde videos are amazing, but there's a hell of a lot more to this guy than just his Horde videos, and I strongly urge that you subscribe to him and just check out his content, keep up with him, and I'll leave all that information in the description below for you to check out. So, Chaps, thank you so much for joining me on my channel today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I look forward to, I don't know when it will be, but I will definitely be featuring you in a video on my channel in the near future, so thank you for that as well.